Hello and welcome to another episode of Wannabe Entrepreneur. It's been 117 days since I started this journey, and it looks that it's at the same time short and long. And the reason is that it looks long because I've interviewed so many cool, amazing entrepreneurs, and I've learned so much from them that it seems long because I've learned so much, but also it's short. It's been only a couple of months. So, I don't know what to think. But I also realized that there's a lot of you that are starting to listen to this podcast now. And it's a pity because a lot of you just listen to the most recent episodes. But I think there's a lot of interesting episodes for you to listen also in the beginning. I know maybe the quality is not the best, but I think you can listen. And today, I want to recommend my favorites. It's not the ones with the most listens. It's just the ones that I think you like, actually. And these are only my short episodes when it's only me talking. The interviews, I think you should all listen to all of them because they are really, really great. And I've learned so much from each of them. So for you to find interviews, if you browse through my episodes, every interview starts with interviewing X. So you immediately can detect where the interviews are, and I really think that you should listen to all of them. But let's go through the top 10 episodes from Wannabe Entrepreneur, the ones I recommend. And I will start from the oldest ones and go my way to the earliest ones. And the first one is definitely the pilot, episode number 1. And the reason is, it's not because it's great, because it isn't. I basically grabbed my phone and started talking. But it's when everything started, and it's also when I'm actually, introducing the project, my goals, introducing myself. So for you to actually understand what is Wannabe Entrepreneur, you have to listen to the pilot. And then immediately episode number 2, which is called What Am I Actually Building? And it's where I introduce my climate change app, Change It, which was basically the project that I started and I'm still building. And it's crucial for you to follow this podcast to listen to these first 2 episodes. Then I would go to episode number 5. It's called What Problem Am I Solving? And if you are building your own app, your service, your product, you need to solve a problem. I mean, there's no way around it. And you need to know how to identify the problem, how to identify that this is not a me problem and it's a problem that everyone, or at least there's a big community of people that also have the same problem, and it's crucial. And I dig deeper into that topic. I give some tips on how to identify problems, and so I think episode 5 is a good one, and it's my 3rd recommendation. So let's go to my 4th recommendation, which is episode 14. It's called Find Your Inner Why. And I've been speaking with a lot of entrepreneurs, and one thing that all have in common is the passion for what they are building. Being an entrepreneur is so hard. There's so many downsides to it. You spend a lot of time working. You make no money. You're constantly worrying about your business. That if you are not truly passionate about what you're building, I don't think you have very low chances of succeeding. And in this episode, I actually go through a technique that I use to identify if I'm really passionate about an idea or not. And I use something that I learned from the book What's Your Why? Or Start With Why, from Simon Sinek, which is an amazing book. And I speak a little bit about the book and the lessons I took from it and how I use it to identify my true passion. So episode 15, it's a great one. And let's continue to my 5th recommendation, which is episode 33. And it's called How I Get New Users. And basically this is, I think, quite important for people that are bootstrapping their apps and they don't have a lot of money. And I basically go through some free and very cheap ideas that I've tried to get new users to my app. So basically how to use Reddit, how to use social media, how to use email and so on. And I think it's also a very cool episode if you are starting and bootstrapping your app. My 6th recommendation would be episode 39, which is called How I Organize My Ideas. And, as an entrepreneur, you'll have so many ideas. Some of them are great, some of them are shit. But sometimes you think that shit ideas are great ideas. So I kind of came up with a way using Trello to organize my ideas and to forced me to actually do some research before starting building, and I explore and explain how I organize myself and this method on this episode 39, so I really recommend. Then my seventh recommendation is episode 49, which is called Tips and Tricks for a Successful Kickstarter Campaign. And basically, I explore what I've learned from my successful Kickstarter campaign, and I give like 5 or 6 tips that I think are crucial if you're building your Kickstarter campaign. And yeah, I think it's also a cool one. Then episode 70, which is called I Am Spiraling, I think it's also quite important, especially if you're an entrepreneur. There'll be ups and downs, and every week I have my downs. Almost every day I have some down times, and it's part of the journey, and this was one of those days, and I think it's also important for you to listen to these not so good parts. Then my ninth recommendation is episode 104, which is called A Life of an Entrepreneur. And the reason why I'm recommending this is just because it's a different episode. I basically record my day from waking up to going to bed, and I just think it's an interesting, it's kind of a vlog, but an audio vlog, a blog, podcast log, and I think it's very interesting. So episode 104. And yeah, finally, my last recommendation for you today is episode 107, which is called The Dark Side of Twitter, which is both an episode where I explore and share some of the things I learned from successfully building my Twitter account and getting active followers, but also the dark sides of it, because after a week of fully focusing on Twitter, I got really addicted and I couldn't stop thinking on it. So it's also, it's both sides of the coin, and I think it's a great episode. And yeah, that's basically it. That's my top 10 of episodes I think you should listen. I mean, to be honest, there's other episodes I think you should listen, but if you just want to go for the highlights, I would go for the interviews, and then for this top 10 episodes I will share a list of the episodes I spoke about in the description of these episodes. So no worries, you don't have to memorize anything. And yeah, I really hope that you like Wanna Be Entrepreneur. I don't do ads, so if you want to support it, if you want me to continue, you can just buy me a coffee, and the link will be in the description. And you can also get a bunch of perks of being a supporter or a member. And besides that, if you can share this with your entrepreneur friends, I'm sure you have great entrepreneur friends that if you share this episode with them or this podcast with them, I would really, really appreciate it. This was another Wanna Be Entrepreneur. See you tomorrow.